If you're not disturbed by what you see around you, you're not paying attention. They told you it's anxiety, that tightness in your chest, that overthinking, that inability to relax. But maybe, just maybe, you're not anxious. Maybe you're awake. Awake to a world that rewards manipulation over honesty. Awake to the reality that charm beats competence. Awake to the fact that being good doesn't guarantee you anything except disappointment. That's not anxiety. That's clarity, and clarity is dangerous. Most people live sedated, distracted by pleasure, numbed by entertainment, medicated by routine. But when your mind refuses sedation, when you start seeing things clearly, people call it anxiety. But what if it's not a flaw? What if it's a sign that your brain is doing something rare, processing truth without a filter? The restless mind isn't a system malfunction. It's the system working correctly in a hostile environment. It's the difference between those who sleep and those who keep watch, between those who trust blindly and those who keep their eyes open. Machiavelli didn't trust comfort. He didn't trust peace. He believed that the man who feels safe is the easiest to deceive. It is much safer to be feared than loved, he wrote. But fear isn't just for others, it's for you. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you alert when you feel that unease. It may be your intuition warning you about people, about situations, about yourself. Your nervous system isn't broken, it's evolved. It's reading micro-expressions that others miss. It's detecting inconsistencies that others ignore. It's processing patterns that others can't see. The modern world wants you to believe that constant vigilance is pathological, that questioning motives is paranoia, that refusing to trust immediately is antisocial. But these are the very mechanisms that kept our ancestors alive. The ones who relaxed too quickly didn't survive long enough to pass on their genes. Your hypervigilance isn't a disorder, it's an adaptation, an evolutionary advantage in a world full of predators who've learned to smile while they hunt. Think about it. When did humanity decide that being constantly alert was a problem? When did we start medicating awareness? When did we begin treating pattern recognition as a mental illness? The answer is simple. When those patterns became inconvenient for those in power. A sedated population is a controllable population. An anxious population asks too many questions. They notice too much. They connect dots that were meant to stay separate. They see through facades that took years to construct. So they gave your awareness a name: anxiety, panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder. They pathologized your clarity and offered you pills to dim your perception. But what if your so-called anxiety is actually your greatest asset? When you start seeing the fake smiles, the manipulation behind kindness, the weakness behind arrogance, the agenda behind every compliment, you don't feel peaceful, you feel disturbed. But that disturbance is your evolution. You're not broken. You're just not sedated anymore. The person who notices that their colleague's praise comes only when they need something isn't paranoid. They're perceptive. The individual who feels uneasy around charismatic leaders isn't antisocial. They're wise. The mind that can't stop analyzing social dynamics isn't malfunctioning. It's processing data that others are programmed to ignore. This is what Machiavelli understood about human nature. He saw that most people prefer comfortable lies to uncomfortable truths. They choose pleasant illusions over harsh realities. They select leaders based on how those leaders make them feel, not on what those leaders actually do. But you're different. Your mind refuses to accept surface-level explanations. It demands depth. It seeks patterns. It questions motives. And that makes you dangerous to those who profit from ignorance. The symptoms you call anxiety might actually be symptoms of lucidity. The racing thoughts might be your brain making connections at superhuman speed. The inability to relax might be your unconscious recognition that relaxation is a luxury you can't afford in a predatory environment. Your hyperanalysis of social situations isn't overthinking. It's survival thinking. In a world where manipulation has become an art form, the ability to read between the lines isn't a disorder, it's a superpower. Consider the physical sensations you experience. The tightness in your chest when someone isn't being genuine. The knot in your stomach when something doesn't add up. the tension in your shoulders when you're in the presence of someone with hidden agendas. These aren't random chemical imbalances. They're your body's intelligence system working at maximum capacity. Your nervous system is detecting threats that your conscious mind hasn't yet identified. It's reading environmental cues that others miss entirely. The problem isn't that you're too sensitive. The problem is that everyone else has become too numb. In a world of increasing deception, those who can detect lies become invaluable. In a society built on manipulation, those who can see through facades become powerful. In an environment of constant misdirection, those who can maintain focus become leaders. But first, you have to stop apologizing for your awareness. Instead of suppressing the discomfort, weaponize it. Let your insomnia become study time. Let your overthinking become pattern analysis. Let your emotional tension become social intuition. Let your questions become power. Transform your sleepless nights into research sessions. While others dream, you're learning. While they rest, you're preparing. While they trust blindly, you're verifying everything. Your inability to accept things at face value is a competitive advantage. Your need to understand the why behind every action gives you insights that others lack. Your compulsion to analyze motivations provides you with a map of human behavior that most people never see. Machiavelli wrote that he who builds on the people builds on mud. But when you build on truth, brutal, uncomfortable, undeniable truth, you build on stone. Your heightened awareness allows you to see the mud for what it is. The shifting loyalties, the conditional friendships, the transactional relationships, the performance-based love. Others might call you cynical for recognizing these patterns. They might accuse you of being negative for pointing out uncomfortable realities. But cynicism is just pattern recognition applied to human behavior. And being labeled negative by people who profit from your naivety is actually a compliment. The real question isn't whether you're anxious. The real question is whether you're going to use your heightened perception to your advantage or continue to see it as a burden. Every great strategist throughout history has possessed this same quality, the ability to see what others couldn't or wouldn't see. They weren't popular for it. They weren't loved for it. But they were respected for it. And more importantly, they were prepared for it. Your racing mind that keeps you up at night. That's the same mental agility that allows you to anticipate problems before they manifest. The overthinking that exhausts you during the day. That's the same analytical power that reveals solutions others miss. The social anxiety that makes gatherings uncomfortable. That's your intuition detecting the performance aspect of human interaction. The inability to trust easily. That's your pattern recognition system protecting you from those who would exploit your goodwill. These aren't weaknesses to be medicated away. These are strengths to be refined and directed. The key is learning to distinguish between productive vigilance and destructive worry. Productive vigilance scans the environment for real threats and opportunities. Destructive worry creates imaginary scenarios and spirals into paralysis. Productive vigilance prepares. Destructive worry paralyzes. Productive vigilance observes. Destructive worry assumes. Productive vigilance adapts. Destructive worry rigidifies. The goal isn't to eliminate your heightened awareness. The goal is to harness it strategically. This means developing the ability to turn your analytical mind on and off consciously. It means learning when to trust your instincts and when to demand evidence. It means knowing the difference between genuine threats and phantom fears. But most importantly, it means recognizing that your so-called anxiety might be the most valuable asset you possess in a world designed to keep you unconscious. The people who want you to relax, to stop asking questions, to trust blindly, to accept surface explanations. These are rarely the people who have your best interests at heart. They're usually the people who benefit from your ignorance. Real friends, real allies, real partners don't get uncomfortable when you ask probing questions. They don't get defensive when you notice inconsistencies. They don't try to shame you for your awareness. They understand that your vigilance protects not just you, but everyone in your circle who lacks your ability to see clearly. Your heightened sensitivity to deception makes you a valuable ally and a dangerous enemy. Your ability to detect manipulation makes you someone worth knowing and someone worth avoiding, depending on which side of the truth you're on. This is why your awareness feels like a burden sometimes. Because awareness comes with responsibility. the responsibility to act on what you see, the responsibility to speak truth when others prefer comfortable lies, the responsibility to remain vigilant when others choose to sleep. But it also comes with power. The power to protect yourself and those you care about. The power to make decisions based on reality rather than illusion. The power to build a life on solid ground rather than shifting sand. So the next time you feel that familiar tightness in your chest, that racing of thoughts, that inability to simply accept what you're told, remember this. You're not malfunctioning. You're becoming dangerous, not because you're paranoid, but because you see what others ignore. Not because you're broken, but because you refuse to be fixed into unconsciousness. Not because you're anxious, but because you're awake. And when you see what they can't control you. Your awareness is your weapon. Your vigilance is your armor. Your questions are your ammunition. The world needs more people who refuse to sleep through the manipulation. It needs more individuals who won't be sedated by pleasant lies. It needs more minds that process truth without filters. It needs you, exactly as you are, with all your uncomfortable awareness and inconvenient clarity. Because in a world of increasing deception, the anxious mind isn't the problem. The unconscious mind is. Your anxiety isn't a disorder to be cured. It's intelligence to be unleashed. Stop apologizing for seeing clearly. Stop medicating your awareness. Stop treating your vigilance as a weakness. Instead, recognize it for what it truly is. Your evolutionary advantage in a world that profits from your unconsciousness. You're not anxious, you're awake. And that makes all the difference.